Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of US Law Live. I am Mike Judy from the Dysart Taylor firm in Kansas City, Missouri, and today I am joined again by my wonderful co-host, Jessica Dark from the Pierce Couch firm in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Hello, Jessica.
Hello, Mike, and how are you?
It's Red Friday. The Chiefs are playing on Sunday. They're on an upward trajectory. I just could not be more excited.
I was going to bring that up, how you're wearing your red vest, your red button up. Yes, no, correct. It is a Chiefs vest for sure.
Thank you. Thank
Loud and
you.
clear on that. Is there a better time than football season in the fall?
I agree. Although it is 85 degrees here in Kansas City, which is unbelievably warm for this time of year.
Yeah, we have a very nice fall morning right now where it's about 64, but then by 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, it is 85, 86. So dressing the kids in the morning is a real nightmare. But we'll make it. But speaking of someone who is used to hot, warm weather, tell us who our guest is today, Mike.
We have got a very exciting guest, Megan Goodwin from the Thorndale Evans firm in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hello, Megan.
Hey, friends.
Hi,
I
So happy to be
Megan.
mean,
here.
I cannot tell you how excited I am that you finally agreed to join the podcast.
Yeah,
I liked the chase, Mike. I liked you just consistently asking me.
your people just kept shutting us down. They'd have to reschedule, then, things would come up, but we finally got you.
Yeah, it's going through your people. That is a lot of red tape that Jessica and I don't have time for.
The 7 or 8 group messages via Instagram or text
Right,
messages. Is that what you mean?
right. Exactly. Yes, exactly. It's just the other people that do all of your bidding that you've got all over the country. No, but it's super excited to have you on the pod. You were one of my all-time favorite people. I think those of you who don't yet know Megan will find that she is genuinely one of the nicest, friendliest, bubbliest, just wonderful humans on the face of the earth. So we are truly excited to have you here.
Mike, that was so sweet.
Well,
Well,
I mean it. I do mean it.
you're one of my favorite people too. I
Well,
really
thank
enjoy
you.
our tree of trust and your daily affirmations. Mike sends us positive
Yes.
affirmations every day.
Yeah, you've got to send out things that Instagram put out there just to, keep you motivated with everything that's going on. But and I know you've got a lot you're going to dig into with us about Nevada and particularly Las Vegas and things being the wild, wild west and what you're seeing there. But before we get there, for those who are not familiar with you and your background, give us kind of a snapshot of your practice area, your involvement with U.S. law, just, the 10,000 foot overview, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I have been practicing. I'm in our Las Vegas office. We have offices in Reno and Las Vegas, which are about 8 hours apart, so it's almost night and day. My practice is pretty varied. I tell people in my elevator pitch, Nevada's a smaller state, so we're all kind of jacks of all trades. We find our niches here and there. For example, I do a lot of construction defect for residential and commercial. I am the firm guru on short-term lesser law, which is rental cars, and so I do a lot of transportation in that respect. And then I have a lot of retail and premises liability. So I'm kind of all over the place. And I like that. It gives me a variety. I'm also now the secretary on the retail and hospitality leadership for our exchange. I was the education coordinator the past 2 years. And I've just moved up after the fall conference to secretary as we turned over leadership. So my focus in US law is retail and hospitality. I know you two, obviously, from the future US law leaders, which we were all part of, which was amazing and super fun, and is now called US Law Lead X. So I'd encourage everybody to do that next year, next June, I think, is that when we're doing it?
I
But
believe that, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so that was how I kind of got my entry into US law was through the US Law Future Leaders, and now I've After I graduated from that program, after chairing that, I went into retail.
What US law events are you looking forward to for 2026, Megan?
Oh my gosh, so many of them. I think there's six that I want to go to.
Ooh.
I'm trying to convince my firm. But yeah, I mean our women's is obviously the highlight of the year. Sorry, Mike. We keep trying to get you to come, but you and
I
Tommy,
somebody needs to make it happen.
you and Tommy.
I did see they created a men's connection, the golf tournament at Pinehurst this year, so you men can join in. I know there's women golfers, but it's not me. So,
I
Not
am
me.
not nearly good enough at golf to go on a trip like that. I think I would just piss people off.
well, it also said it's an invitational, which to me says they're probably not going to invite you.
Right, right. Well, that's okay. And thanks for the vote of confidence.
But we would invite
Uh,
you to women's, just so we're clear.
I yes, I know that does make me feel happy. So thank you, Megan, for being nice, even in the face of Jessica's hostility. So how long have you been active with US Law? I know you've got a lot of responsibility and have taken on a lot of leadership roles and presenting, but when did you get your start and how did that happen within your firm?
I actually got started pretty early in US law, which was a blessing in its own way. I was still an associate. It was back in 2016. So I'd been practicing for about 6 years. I had two partners who were very involved in US law. And one, unfortunately, he passed away, and another, he was retiring. So before the one passed away, they kind of had this idea, let's bring Megan to US law, let's introduce her to the people we know, the clients, the attorneys, so they know to kind of look out for her or to include her. And so my first US law event was actually a client conference in Terranea, which is in Palos Verdes, California, in 2016. And that was an early intro. And then I started with the women's in June 2017. And I really latched on to the women's connection because it's awesome. And through that, I got more involved with US law. My firm gave me a lot more latitude. They wanted, the younger leaders to come up through US law. And then COVID hit. And so that kind of, I think, slowed the progress for a lot of us joining US law. And fortunately, coming out of COVID, I was tapped to vice chair the future leaders with Ryan Holt, who was the chair at our first future leaders event back in 2022. I think that was in Amelia Island at the client conference then. And then it's just been full steam and I've really embraced it. And now, unfortunately, you guys are all my best friends and I do everything I can to see you as many times a year as I can. So
I know that's what's been really awesome about the podcast is that we get to see our friends more often than if we just had to wait for conferences. So I'm really glad that we have gotten to make those connections, especially with the future US Law Leaders groups. I was the same. I think my first time to meet you was at Women's Connection, and then we both ended up on the leadership for future leaders. And like Mike said, you're just the best. You're so warm and welcoming. And I think that that's really encapsulates the women's connection for me. Again, sorry, Mike. But that, you show up to your first women's connection or the business development forum that occurs in the fall, and everyone's just so nice and welcoming and excited to, bring you in and explain what's going on and help each other. I think that's been my favorite part about getting to know you is getting to see you at those.
I agree. And I think, one of the biggest benefits for the Future Leaders Program and through the women's is that we work really hard to be inclusive. And when new people come into US law, the last thing we want is for them to not feel welcome or appreciated. And so I really love the group of people that we have that work really hard to make sure that everybody's invited and part of the group and finds their people that they connect with at US Law. So I'm glad I found you guys for sure.
Oh, and we're happy we found you. And, but and
It's such a
I'm
love
always
fest.
no, it is. I mean, and one of the things that there's always everybody's got a different path, a different history and involvement with US law. And I'm always interested in, kind of your advice to folks who may be their first or second year involved with US law, or they're getting ready to go to their first conference or exchange. I mean, what advice would you provide on a way to get more involved, increase exposure, meet people, that sort of deal.
Well, I think all of us that are sent to US Law, or either we're picked by our firm or we're lobbying to our firm to go, is that we all have a similar type of personality. And so it may be difficult, but I say to always just put yourself out there. One of the craziest things I learned when I went to US Law is that everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody's willing to talk to you. I actually love the concept that we wear name tags and that they kind of force us to wear the name tag, because there's no shame in looking down to see someone's name before you look back up at their face. Everyone is doing that. And you can pretty much walk up to any conversation and they will welcome you into the conversation. They'll move the circle, they'll ask you a question, ask where you're from. So I always tell people, when it's your first or second time going to US Law, it sounds counterintuitive, but really just insert yourself. Go to the bar and say, oh, hey, I'm ordering that too. Or, oh, hi, you're from California, I'm from Nevada, we have the same issues. And again, it seems like a social faux pas, but it really is what makes us thrive at US Law. And it's where I've met people, is just jumping into a conversation when I looked around the room and was like, I think I'll talk to those people right now. And um, just continuing to go. I mean, it is a slower process. You see somebody once and then you don't see them again for 6 months. But I think just really making the effort to stay connected. When you see someone again at a conference, and obviously, which was also very scary for me, because as a younger attorney, I didn't feel like I had the knowledge to facilitate, but truly anybody can facilitate. US Law makes it so easy, with the method that they use, which is more of a roundtable discussion in the room versus you speaking to a PowerPoint. And that's really my first time I spoke was in 2018, and I spoke on a pretty sensitive topic. And people came up to me afterwards, and they're like, that was really amazing what you were talking about. It had to do with like natural disasters. And so then they remembered that I talked about that. And so people still come up to me like, oh, I remember when you talked about that issue. And so it really puts yourself out there to speak. And I know it's scary, but it really is worth it.
Yeah, I think another good way to be involved is writing for the USLAW Magazine. I think I've written two this year, but I've mostly done it with some of my associates of, hey, come in, help me write this and market yourself to the network. And also, selfishly, it gives you a little bit of a reason to go to your firm and say, hey, I've been writing for US Law Network. I should get to go to some of these US Law events.
Absolutely.
Well, now that you've given us your mini playbook for getting involved in U.S. law and making it successful, I want to switch gears a little bit to what's going on in Nevada and in Las Vegas. I know you had said it's the Wild West, and we teased it a little bit getting the introduction into the podcast. But how are things in Vegas from a legal standpoint?
Well,
I'm
it
sure
kind of mirrors.
everything's easy and it's all rainbows and everything's just a delight.
I think the word, and it mirrors our city in general, is chaos. So Las Vegas is an interesting jurisdiction. I will say Nevada as a whole. We only have really two big counties, which is Washoe County up north, which is Reno, and Clark County, which is down south. This is Las Vegas. Clark County is one of the largest counties in the nation. We encompass hundreds of miles. We go from the California border to the Arizona border. So we have not only Las Vegas and its suburbs, but we have some rural towns that are part of our jury pool. We have a retirement community about an hour east called Mesquite. That's a big golfing and retirement community. They are our jury pool as well, which is very different than the residents of Las Vegas, let's say. So we call ourselves still kind of the wild, wild west of the law because we are a smaller state. We don't have a lot of case law. We only developed an appellate court in Nevada within the past 10 years. And the system we have is every case still goes up to the Nevada Supreme Court, and the Nevada Supreme Court determines what's going to be pushed back down to the
Oh,
appellate court
wow.
and what they're going to hear. So you don't know where you're going to land depending on what they feel is important.
So
So
sorry to
no,
interrupt on that, but can they so you can jump the appellate court and an issue will go right to the Supreme Court.
you
They may
do.
say,
You
what?
automatically.
Okay. And if they
Yeah.
want to keep it and decide it, that's where you are. They're not passing it down to the appellate court first.
Yep.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah. And so we only have three judges on our appellate court. So it's not location based or anything like that. So yeah, and then our state court, we have about 32 judges here in Las Vegas. They are elected every 6 years, so that creates a dynamic that is unique and interesting as well. Because we don't have a lot of case law, we have a lot of latitude in the district courts, which creates a bit of confusion and perhaps instability. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I'm writing a report to a client and, they want to know the outcome of, say, a dispositive motion or, what the chances are on comparative fault. In this case, it is wholly dependent on the judge you are assigned in our lower courts, which can be really fun. Hey, Wild Wild West, but it's also really frustrating when you go into a courtroom and you have a slam dunk motion for summary judgment and it gets denied because the judge thinks, well, there might be a question of fact later on at trial. And I've had multiple times when the plaintiff counsel has turned to me and said, you should have won that. And he even knows, or she, that like the law is on my side. But Nevada has really pushed this issue with our elected judiciary to really let cases be tried on the merits. They are loath to grant a motion for summary judgment unless there's no opposition. I mean, that's short of that, they'll really weigh the factors, or they'll find a way to split the baby and do a partial granting. So it's frustrating because I can't give my clients a clear answer as to how something will shake out. And there's a lot of money spent on appeals that maybe don't need to be spent on appeals, and that will stall out a case. When you want to wrap something up, it's going to go up for a year or so trying to sort out an appeal.
Yeah. And I know one of the other issues that you said makes Las Vegas in particular, and probably the whole state of Nevada, is just the volume of cases that you're seeing from out of towners, folks that are visiting for the weekend for a bachelor party, bachelorette party, whatever it is, and they find themselves in a little bit of trouble, getting hurt. So I'd imagine there's a large influx of cases with people who are not familiar with the state of Nevada.
That is correct. And fortunately, one of the laws they have put in place is that if you file suit here, you have to come back here for your deposition. So, that's good and bad. If you like to travel for work, you don't have to fly to the plaintiff. So they do have to come back into Las Vegas, which can be difficult if they're international, but we do try to make that a very hard and fast rule in our cases. Hey, if you're going to sue us, you better get back here and take your deposition here. I'm not going to do it via Zoom. It's one of the few bargaining chips that we have. But yeah, there's a lot of cases. Like I said, I'm a specialist in my office on short-term lesser law, which is rental cars, U-Hauls, Uber, Lyft. We have an exorbitant amount of those type of cases here for various reasons. You can rent a car as long as you have an international driver's license, but maybe you drive on the wrong side of the road. So there's a lot of my rental car cases happen like 2 miles from the rental car facility. Someone makes a right when they should be making a left. But those kind of cases come up a lot. And then of course with rideshare, everybody's in a rideshare here going from one casino to the other, because I don't know if anybody's ever attempted to walk from the Wynn to the Mandalay Bay, but it is actually further than most people think. So you usually give up about halfway at the Bellagio. But so we have a lot of
You're not talking from personal experience on that one, are you?
I would never have a yardstick of a daiquiri and seeing how far it takes me. But yeah, so we have a lot of strange hospitality cases. We have a lot of obviously hotel cases. People like to think that our casinos are Ocean 11 level. They're pretty good. They have facial recognition. They've moved to that where when you're in the black book quote, which is where you're banished from the casino, they can facially recognize you now, but our cameras aren't what you would expect them to be. I get a lot of pushback and a lot of shock from plaintiffs when I say, well, the camera wasn't on that area. And they're like, there's no way the eye in the sky wasn't watching this particular area of the casino. And There is. And then we go down the spoliation route, which is, I'm sure in every jurisdiction, a big problem right now. But the surveillance video and spoliation is a big problem that we have in the casinos. So kind of all over the place with our hospitality issues between rideshare and hotels, but it is a big part of Nevada's personal injury practice.
Yeah, and I know another thing that you'd talked about as we were chatting a little bit before we started is just the number of plaintiff lawyers in Nevada, that whether it's former defense lawyers or just people hanging a shingle. But I mean, you've traveled a lot all over the country for US Law and other things. How's the advertising compare in Las Vegas to other areas of the country you've been in?
Well, I feel like it's a bit excessive. I have been some other jurisdictions where it's starting to pop up, that's for sure. I don't know if you guys have been here and seen it. I mean, we have billboards everywhere. We have plaintiff attorneys that are commercials during our hockey games, during our football games. So there's been a really big influx. I know all of us have actually discussed through US Law as defense firms primarily. We're having a hard time finding associates. And finding individuals who want to litigate. And in our particular jurisdiction, we're seeing a lot of them are just jumping straight to plaintiff work. They're hanging a shingle, paying for a billboard, and taking whatever they can get to come in the door, which is leading to a lot more frivolous cases than I would hope to see. And I think a big part of that is, as you know, a lot of plaintiffs' attorneys generally will work on the defense side at first to kind of figure out the inner workings, and then they'll flip over to the plaintiff side. So they have a little bit of an understanding as to how this side may work. Now we're seeing a lot of first year attorneys that are just going out there and swinging the bat and seeing what hits. And so as a result, I'm getting cases that are maybe not so valid. And you want to file a Rule 11 motion, but we're still a small community and you don't like to do that to somebody if you don't have to. So that's been really triggering our volume of work. And then combined with, like I said, about the courts, they really want to hear things on the merits. It's very difficult to dispose of a frivolous case here. So between the advertising and the litigious nature of Las Vegas, we're not short on work.
Are
And
the
are you
billboards
finding, go ahead,
are
Jessica.
the billboards also advertising like these gigantic number verdicts?
Yes.
I was
Yes.
talking recently with a client of just, everyone talks about the nuclear verdicts or the big numbers. And I just have to think that the jurors who drive by these gigantic numbers every single day, when they walk into the jury room, that number isn't so insane to them because they've seen it. They know that someone else has gotten it before. So I don't know what can be done about it. I think maybe defense lawyers need to be more open to sharing success stories and just also making it clear that people do lose these cases as well, or people do get awarded $0 as well. What do you think?
I completely agree. I think, obviously the plaintiff bar, I think in every state is far more powerful than the defense bar is, just surely in volume and in funding. Here, one of the things I put in all of my reports when I'm evaluating our jurisdiction is people don't really have a concept of money in Las Vegas. It is shifting since COVID. We've had a lot of people move in from, let's say, California, but for a long, long time, the way that everybody made money here was the service industry, and that is union-based jobs that make a lot of money. They're over half their pay is usually based in tips. So money is flying around. You're seeing jackpots, you're seeing, people walking in there and winning $30,000 at a supermarket slot machine, so money is kind of a tangential monopoly thing here in Vegas. So when we get juries filled with these individuals, they're far more likely to think that there's just like MGM Resorts or Caesars or Entertainment or anybody, they have a ton of money, it's fine. And so that's where our nuclear verdicts tend to come from, is there's just this fundamental lack of understanding. And then when you couple that with the billboards, you know, I had my best friend was just on a jury a month ago, and it was so fascinating to pick her brain. but the plaintiff attorney kept saying 100 million, 100 million, 100 million was what he was going to seek, so that when they award 20 million, it's not so bad. But and
Mm,
that's the mental games that we obviously see as trial attorneys. So one of the things that was really kind of unique this year that we saw play out in Nevada is Uber um, came in and lobbied our legislature. Our legislature only meets every other year, and said, okay, well, we can't do tort reform in Nevada, but what we're going to do is this. We're lobbying so that any plaintiff attorney is restricted to 20% recovery on
mm.
any case that is filed against Uber. It obviously lost, but they pushed really hard at it and did a lot of advertising on it and tried to get it out to the public saying, hey, we can't like continue to operate in Nevada if we're going to keep getting hit with these verdicts. So we're limiting the plaintiff's attorneys' recoveries in the hopes that the plaintiff attorneys will no longer take those cases because they're limited to the 20%. Um, of course, it was countered by our plaintiffs bar very heavily and said, oh, well, Uber's just attempting to skirt its responsibilities. So it didn't
Interesting.
pass, but that is one of the ways we've been trying to quell this whole nuclear verdict, short or soft tissue $1 million verdicts, things like that. So it's getting creative, but we still have a long way to go.
Well, I appreciate the insight to what's going on in Nevada and in Las Vegas. Wanted to kind of switch gears and get into our fun facts, fun topics, questions for you. You have no idea what's coming.
I have a question. I
Um,
have a question.
yes,
Um,
okay, okay.
yes, hello, Megan. As a Las Vegas, Nevada showgirl, what is your favorite song on the new Taylor Swift album, The Life of a Showgirl?
Jessica, I was totally hoping we would have this discussion because you and me are the Swiftiest of Swifties.
Perfect.
So I am very torn. Okay, I love Fate of Ophelia
Yes.
and Opalite. I
Yes.
They're so fun. I actually do love Life of a Showgirl.
Yes. These
I,
are
I
those
love I love Sabrina too. So yeah.
perfect. I
So
like all those, and I really like Elizabeth Taylor.
my best
I
friend loves
mean,
that one too.
shouldn't the question be, is there a song on the album that isn't your favorite? I mean, that's basically what I just gathered from this.
You
I
know,
think that's
that's
a fair
actually,
question.
yeah, that's actually a very good point. No, I love them all. What about you, Mike? Tell us what's
I
your favorite?
I
I
love them all.
mean, you're gonna be very upset with me, but I have not listened to the album all the way through. I've listened to it in the car with Mary Jane, when we're driving places, but the boys will not let me put on Tay Tay when I'm driving them to and from sports. They get
Okay,
mad.
well, I would
But
like you to
I
take
will
some
report
time.
back by the next pod.
Okay, that's
We
all.
expect a full report.
Yeah. No, but I am super jealous watching your Instagram and social media feeds because you are probably one of the most well-traveled people that I know. So my question is, what is your favorite destination you've been to?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Well, my travel is kind of born out of FOMO and curiosity. There's kind of nowhere in the world that I don't want to see. But I will say my favorite probably has to be Southern Africa. I went to Zambia and Zimbabwe, oh gosh, like almost 12 years ago. Right on the border between those two countries is the Zambezi River, and it creates Victoria Falls, which is this gorgeous waterfall area. um, and I didn't know what to expect going to Africa. We had massive vaccines. You had to take a malaria pill every day, but I just fell in love with Africa. Both Zambia and Zimbabwe. We went to Botswana as well. The people were so kind. It is set like 40 years in the past. There's no seatbelts in the cars and everybody's on their own timeline. And, it was just really amazing to see a safari, to be out in nature and to just have this culture there of just genuinely kind, happy people. So I'm a huge fan of Africa. I really want to go back.
And if you go back, is it at the same place? Do you have another destination in mind?
Well, I my goal before I quit type 3 fun hiking is to summit Mount Kilimanjaro. So
Ooh.
I do want to do that. I've also wanted to always go to Zanzibar. Um, so I definitely want to see Kenya, Tanzania, but I would take anybody who wanted to go back to Victoria Falls back there in a heartbeat.
So is that then the next trip on your bucket list? Is that your next destination, or if it's not there, where is it? What's your dream vacation? Your dream destination? Money's not an object. You can get there, do whatever you want. Where are you going?
2 weeks in New Zealand. I would love to tour the northern and southern islands of New Zealand. I haven't had that happen yet. I also want to go to Australia. So, like, all of that Oceania tied together is really my trip. And then, well, I have two. It's that, and then I want to go to Antarctica because my goal is to touch all seven continents, and I'm at five. So, I'm looking for one of my upcoming milestone birthdays to try and sail the cruise ship to Antarctica. So, we'll see if that
Um,
comes to fruition.
that sounds awesome. And I think my future trip plans will really bore you, but I'm thinking about coming to Vegas in January to see the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. And if I were to come, what would be your hotel recommendation and a dinner restaurant recommendation?
Oh, well, first of all, I'm very excited that you're coming to Vegas and you better call me.
Well, obviously.
Um,
I just can't believe she didn't ask if she could stay on your couch.
she's always welcome to stay on my couch. We will stay up all night. We'll wear matching pajamas. We'll play Mahjong and we'll listen to Taylor Swift.
I mean, that actually sounds amazing. Yes, count me in.
But if you were to come to Vegas and stay in a hotel, my, okay, so I worked at MGM Grand for 4 years before I went to law school. So it's my like little home hotel. It's my favorite, but it is on the older side. So my best friend is the hotel director at Cosmo. So I love the Cosmo. It's just, I think it's a fun hotel. It's very centrally located. It's got great restaurants. Wynn is always very bougie and fancy. I do love the Wynn. But if you're going to the Wizard of Oz, it is connected to the Venetian and the Palazzo. So that's a good spot. As far as restaurants, oh, that's a tough one because we have so many.
I know. I can't even know where you would start.
Every time a client comes into town, I have to go through like the Rolodex of list of what restaurant they would like to go to or I would like to go to. It really depends on what type of food you want. So, we have all of the famous chefs. I'm thinking like, there's always a great steakhouse. You can never go wrong with steakhouse. So we've had a lot of sushi restaurants that have come up lately. And we have, like Momofuku and obviously we have Nobu and we had Morimoto. So if you like sushi, those are excellent.
I do like sushi. I've been to Sushi Samba.
That's a good one.
Is that the
Yeah.
Venetian? Is that right?
Yeah.
It was amazing. Loved it. 10
Yeah.
out of 10.
And then what is your favorite show you have seen in Vegas?
Ooh, okay. So we've moved into residencies. So when you'd asked me that years ago, we had Cirque du Soleil, the Blue Man Group, but now we've got these residencies coming. So that has been a whole game changer. I mean, obviously, let's be real, my favorite show in Las Vegas was the Eras Tour at Allegiant Stadium. But putting that aside, because that travels, I would have to say I did see the Backstreet Boys in July at the Sphere, and that was pretty epic. Um, I'm actually going to see Alanis Morissette tonight at Caesars. She's starting her residency.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I gravitate towards the musical ones. I really do enjoy Cirque du Soleil. It's very, very cool. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. We used to have like 6 shows on the strip. I think we're down to 3, but it's still really cool. And it's really humbling when you're in your local yoga class and there's some Cirque du Soleil acrobats there and you feel very inadequate.
Uh, well, Megan, this has been wonderful. You have been very generous with your time, and letting us know about your background, involvement with U.S. law, what's going on in Las Vegas. And again, another shameless plug for you. Anybody who's new to U.S. law, if you want to feel like the most important person in the room and get introduced around, come find Megan. She will treat you like you are her best friend, and she is genuine about it. So cannot thank you enough for coming on the podcast and for everything that you do.
Yeah, it
Love you
sounds like you'll
guys.
be at every event next year, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
It was great to see you, Megan. Thank you for giving us up some time on your Friday afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see y'all soon, U.S. Law. Thank you for listening to U.S. Law Live. Stay tuned for more great conversations on U.S. Law Live. To learn more about U.S. Law Network, visit uslaw.org. Thank you.